Aristotle's Poetics, the section about tragedy. This is about as close as Aristotle will come to defining tragedy. And I want to emphasize here not so much the idea of reenactment, which is my translation here for mimesis, but the two emotions that Aristotle is talking about, eleos and phobos, which I translate as pity and fear. I wish there were a better way to translate phobos. I'm sometimes tempted to say horror instead of fear, because there'll be situations, especially when we get to hour 21, Euripides' Bacchae, where when somebody's called deinos and you translate that as terrible, it just doesn't work. It's really horrible, not terrible. And so terror may be a word we use, or horror, but in any case, it's a feeling of being repelled from the sufferings of others, whereas eleos, which we'll translate as pity, is a feeling of being attracted or drawn to the suffering of others. Why you're drawn to it is another matter, and that's why I'm a little worried about the English translation pity, because pity almost explains why you would be drawn to the suffering of somebody else, and it's a little bit confusing. Maybe if we thought about all of this in terms of empathy, it would be better, since Aristotle himself uses the word pathemata. He could have said pathos in the plural, and that's very good, because pathos is emotion, and empathy is putting emotion from one place to another. So if a hero who is a larger-than-life person is experiencing a larger-than-life emotion, let's call it a passion, then we, the group, the notional group who come together in Athenian drama and participate in being there while this larger-than-life hero is having his larger-than-life or her larger-than-life emotional experiences, then we have empathy for the hero. And that means that we take our emotions and let those emotions be drawn into the larger-than-life, all-consuming emotion. Let's call that again the passion of the hero. And for Aristotle, that results in a purification. And you could say that's just medical, it's a psychological cure, but it's also a ritual thing. It's actually getting rid of moral pollution or defective emotions and healing the emotions.
So you're saying this is a movement of emotion, or it's a transfer of emotion, it's a connection? Does that matter, this distinction?
I like the way you said transfer. And yes, it's also a movement, but it's a movement that results in a transfer, that we, let's say 30,000 of us who come to Athenian State Theater, and now I'm believing the number given by Plato in the Symposium. Okay, 30,000 people come to Athenian State Theater. They are part of this situation where a larger-than-life hero, like let's say Oedipus, goes through a pathos. It could be one emotion or several emotions, but I sometimes like to call that the passion. And then we bring our own emotions into this. And what's happening is empathy, and the chorus is the singing and dancing part of the group that makes the connectivity possible. So when you say movement, it's the movement, the dance, and the song of the chorus that mediates, that makes it possible for all of us, all 30,000 of us, let's say, to bring those emotions into this one place and then experience the pathos, or pathema, and then plural of pathema is pathemata. And all of this is reenactment, mimesis. And we'll leave it at that for now, but if you think of mimesis as a ritual process, then we understand better, and we'll do this when we get to my introduction to tragedy, which is part 3 of the Hero in 24 Hours project, that this kind of reenactment is where, through ritual, what happened back then in myth is happening again, so that it's not just an actor who is acting what happened in the heroic age. It's a reenactor, and that reenactment is a ritual process that brings everybody in the here and now together and makes the purification, or katharsis, or as we pronounce it in the English borrowing, catharsis, possible.
So it's that movement and transfer that allows
Yes.
the ritual purification.
And transfer and empathy go together. And again, let me repeat, pathemata here is a derivative of pathos, and pathos is the word for the passion of the hero and the emotions of the group, the quote-unquote audience.
Yes.
And then empathy is the movement, the transfer of our emotions to this centralized, all-consuming, larger-than-life experience of the hero.
Amazing.